These guys are fighting pretty close right now. 17 of Christian Budd managing to hold on. And now they're going to have to deal with the 38 of Thomas Harmon, who's going to make it 3 wide on the inside. They've gotten the 17 of Christian Budd clear. And now Thomas fighting for the lead, giving a little bit of a bump there to Gerald West. Gerald rolling with the punches. They go 3 wide again, coming off of turn 4. This could be a little bit of a sticky situation, especially if you're the car in the middle. Make sure you give enough space to both the cars around you. And this is absolutely incredible that these guys are still 3 wide. Oh, and Thomas Harmon has got loose. Can he save it? He can. Well done, Thomas Harmon.
Your stream open. Oh.
But that was some incredible racing.
Oh, no help.
Now on display by those guys. Derek Myers, the teammate of Gerald West. Oh, and the 98 of Jerry Glenn's just gone round. I think that was off the bumper of Logan Lansford. And that is going to give the advantage to Gerald West here on the outside line. But can they hold it? That is the question. Did they make their move? Hello everyone and welcome down to the Darlington Raceway for the Throw Your Back Out 136 right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. And I'm actually joined in commentary here tonight. And I'd like to introduce you all to the one, the only, the 78 of Mr. Brian Pizzakemi. Brian, fantastic night of racing ahead of us here. Was it like 100 laps around the Darlington, the famous Darlington Raceway, the Lady in Black. How's it feel being up here in the booth instead of being out there on the track?
Thank you, Corey, for having me. First off, it's going to be an interesting night. 100 laps. This car seems to be very, very loose, but it's strange to be up here. I will be honest. It's very, very strange to be up here. Because I am so used to being down there crashing during these pit parties and getting ready to, run this with everyone. So it should be an interesting time to see everything from this perspective for tonight. And, well, we'll see how everything goes.
Well, speaking of crashing in a pit party, looks like that's exactly what our field is about to do. As we're looking at the 39 James Watson running a new paint scheme. He's got the Great Clips car going. There's a couple of throwback schemes out there. We're just looking at Brian Chambliss running the mellow yellow car. So we've got actually a couple of cold trickles out there with Brian Chambliss and also Kyle Kraus in the 7. It's interesting seeing some of these throwback paint schemes on Darlington.
It is great to see everyone throwing out some good throwback paint schemes. Now I'm curious who the real cold trickle will be tonight between Kyle and Brian.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
I hope it's Kyle.
I hope it's Kyle too, just quietly. But it's going to be interesting to see how these guys get it all sorted out and get going, as we're starting to roll here for the pit party now. Looks like they started to organize themselves on the bottom of turn 1. And we also have a couple of league rookies here tonight. Do you want to fill us in on them a little bit?
As far as I know, the two rookies tonight are Reggie Ortega and Bryce Shoemaker. They were friends of Brian Chambliss, and they just joined tonight, and so it should be interesting to see how they do. Now, in practice, they were having a little bit of issues. I know I watched Bryce smack the wall a few times, getting that good old Darlington stripe. Now, I expect to see a lot of drivers tonight get that as well. It's a matter of, during practice, pushing your car to the absolute limit, see what you can do.
All right, so it looks like the drivers now just coming through turns 3 and 4 in preparation for the pit party. So we'll see how they go here in what will be essentially a race start situation. You see league founder Jaron Sanchez there right smack dam in the middle of the field, as there's a bit of check up there on the bottom line as they got going, and a little bit of nose to tail contact there on the start, Brian.
Yeah, it looks like someone may have missed a gear or hit the gas and just spun their tires. But it looks like everyone's going now. Relatively clean. Oh, Jaron Sanchez, watch out. Loose off at 2, and he's wrecking on the backstretch. Looks like he's kept it in the wall, and everyone was able to avoid him as well as they could. But I see Travis is also caught up.
Yeah, I was going to say he wasn't the only one.
Medikoff just crashed too, or tried to crash. He saved it. So it's very loose on these cold tires, Corey.
Yeah, very loose on these cold tires. Some would probably say dangerously so. But it'll tend to tighten up after a couple laps and then become deathly tight for these drivers as they try and wrestle these Xfinity cars around this track. A big run for Corey Cook into turn 3. He gets his stripe, and he keeps it up high as he's getting up onto the back of the 67 car. That is, of course, Chambliss. And we also have a new number here tonight for Jonas Marquez, ditching the 64 and going for the 00 there, Brian.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm curious as to what or why the number change for Jonas. I know Austin Collins ran the 00 for a bit, so just switching it up for tonight, maybe for the rest of the season. It will be interesting to see if he changes after this.
And speaking of the 00, it looks like he got a big old Darlington stripe there in 3 and 4. He's pulled it down to the infield. So that's going to be his run in the pit party done. As we're looking at the 12, the 9, the 67, and I think that's the 61 at the back there as they're making their way through. And they're right behind Shoemaker in the 43, one of our rookies. I think that might be the other rookie of Ortega right in front of him as well. I don't have a relative up at the moment, so I can't tell for sure. But this looks like an interesting little pack. It looks like they're already starting to get to grips with how this car is going to handle around this track. Corey Cook even taking a little bit of apron there on the entry of turn 1, which we don't usually see in the B car. We usually see that more in the next gen car, the Gen 7 car.
I think they're just going to use whatever they can to try and make the car a little bit tighter. Drivers were complaining longer run that it was getting really tight in, so they're trying to get anything to rotate. As the 43 looks like he got a little tight and got the wall, got another Darlington stripe, as everyone seems to be able to file in.
And right on the tail of the 43 right now, we got the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez, and just in front of both of them is the 72 TJ Crampton. Another one with a throwback paint scheme here, as TJ Crampton also leading the way at the moment. Let's have a look real quick at the way our field is stacking up at the moment. Once I hit the right buttons to get it all going. So TJ Crampton currently with a 29.509 is our top time taker. Just 2 thousandths of a second behind him is Thomas Harmon in the 38. There's Scott Rickard in 3rd, Jonathan Hernandez sitting in 4th, Chambliss in 5th, Shoemaker P6, Masia is in P7, Marquez P8, Ortega 9, Kraus in 10. As we look over the page, there's Joe Slammer in 11th, Sanchez 12th, Horton looking at 13th with Champeau in 14th. Sam Niederhelm, great to see him back in a more regular standing. He's in 15th. Corey Cook in 16th. Isaacson doing pretty well there in 17th. Austin Collins 18th. Kyle McCoy 19th. James Watson just moved himself up into the 20th. Look over the page. There's Mark Pentecoff and Lane Ritchie. And Pentecoff has the time. Lane Ritchie not yet set a time. I don't think he's on the track quite yet. But it looks interesting at the moment is our top 22 standings there, Brian.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see everyone trying to get some faster times. Is like this track is when they first started, the track has heated up about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So the track has gotten much slicker. So everyone's trying to push as much as they can, but this thing is going to become a really, really disastrous time on that right front. And I was also hearing that it's loose on exit, which is a little interesting. So it sounds like it's extremely tight to the point where you're pushing through the center so much that once you get back to the gas, you have way too much wheel input, and that you're going to be sideways for a bit. I'm not sure how that'll look during the long run towards a fuel stop, but it should be interesting to see how drivers adapt to having this tight car, because it is going to be a long night.
That's right. And then now we've got 23 cars registered for the race. There's about 9 laps left to go, or 5 minutes, as they're doing just over 30-second lap times at the moment since they're on a bit of a longer run. As a 9 of Joe Slama hit the fence. That's in turns 1 and 2. And, big time into the inside fence he goes. And that is a lot of damage there on that 9 car. And he almost caught up TJ Crampton in that one. And also Chambliss. As there's the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez once more. He's still in P4 overall in the practice standings here. And he'll be looking for a good night here tonight, Brian.
Sorry, I had a brain fart there. Yeah, Jonathan Hernandez is a fast guy, but I know a lot of these good drivers are starting to really look towards the playoffs, and I'm actually going to pull up what the playoffs are looking like, because I know this point standings are getting pretty tight. So we have 3 races left until the chase or the playoffs, and we have a pretty good battle around between 8th and even 14th. Anything can happen. So even then, we're gonna be looking at Austin Collins, James Watson, Joe Slum, Matt Sisler, Travis Massier, Kyle Krause, Corey Cook, and Matt Horton. It could pull it out too. There's only about 30-40 points between all of them, and
Sorry to
a
interrupt.
night like tonight. Go ahead.
5 of Mark Pentikoff just got absolutely slammed by Brian Chambliss coming out of turn 4, and it was quite the hellacious hit.
Can someone get a wellness check on Mark Pentikoff?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to go under the concussion protocol as time is winding down here. Just 2.5 minutes left in practice. Frank Isaacson stuck on the bottom of turn 4, so he must have gotten loose coming out of the corner. There's about 4 laps left for these drivers. Some will maybe stretch it to 5, we'll see. But Jonathan Hernandez looking pretty good out there, looking nice and stable. And I think he's been out there since the pit party, so he's definitely looking at how these tyres are affecting the long run. Right behind him is Shoemaker.
Yeah, the longest run out there right now would be from the pit party. So we have TJ Crampton, Thomas Harmon, Jonathan Hernandez, Bryce Shoemaker are all about 17 laps into this run. As I'm watching them, it is very long waiting on that throttle. It's just they're waiting almost half the corner just to even get back to the smallest amount. So it's going to be interesting to see how this run goes, 40, 50 laps. I actually don't know the fuel mileage, but I would assume this long run is going to be a lot of patience, and drivers are going to have to take care of that right front, because it's hearing no throttle input for so long is kind of scary.
Yeah, it definitely can be. But as we're starting to wind down practice here, it's time for us to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we will have our starting grid here for the Throw Your Back Out 136 live and exclusive from the Darlington Raceway. So make sure you guys stay tuned. You ended that at like the perfect time.
actually bring up the penalty system.
All right, here we go. Qualifying has just ended, so it is time for us to start going through our starting grid here for the Throw Your Back Out 136, and the weather has shifted. There's clouds all over the place now. So we'll just get the starting grid up. There's Kyle McCoy, he'll be on pole. Chris Champeau will be on his outside out of P2. Then out of third, we'll have the 05 of Scott Rickard. The 67 of Brian Chambliss will be out of P4. P5 will be the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez. And then the 61 of Corey Cook will be out of P6. There's the 9 of Joe Slammer. He'll be out of 7th. The 15 of Ken Campbell will be out of position number 8. Position 9 will be the 1 of Austin Collins. And Bryce Shoemaker on debut will be out of P10 in the 43 car. There's TJ Crampton. He'll be out of 11th in the 72. And Reggie Ortega, also on debut, will be out of 12th. There's Thomas Harmon in the 38 car. He'll be out of 13th. Andrew Griesbaum in the 68 will be out of P14. P15 will be the 13 of Travis Massier. And Mo Abbat will be out of 16th in the 48 car. Out of 17th, we'll have the 39 of James Watson. And Sam Niederhelm in 18th in the 66 car. There's Frank Isaacson. He'll be out of 19th in the 24. Mark Pentacuff in 20th in the 5. And in the 21st position, we'll have the 7 of Kyle Kraus. Next to him will be the 88 of Matt Horton in 22nd. And 23rd will be the 4 of Jaron Sanchez. And 24th will be the 00 of Jonas Marquez. 25th, all by himself, will be the 99 of Lane Ritchie. The 25 drivers to take on 100 laps around the Darlington Raceway. And it's going to be an exciting one here for the start of this one, Brian.
Oh yeah, this should be great. As the weather has definitely picked up a bit, the track has gotten much hotter. In fact, between practice and now, it's been about a 10-degree swing. Qualifying was actually about 10 degrees hotter than this, so it's cooled off just a little bit. Might give a little bit of reprieve for these drivers out here. Looking to see a lot of drivers probably take it a little easy on the start due to how loose these cold tires will be, and give each other a lot of space. It should be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, the other thing I'm noticing as well is the wind direction is almost completely opposite to the way it was going during qualifying as well. So that's going to be an extra little challenge for these drivers as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. The pace car will make that hard left turn into pit lane, and then we'll get ready to go. Remember, for the folks at home, the first start is on green. All the restarts will be on the leader inside of the restart zone as they make their way off the corner. Watch out for the wheel spin, because here we go. As we're off and racing. Great start there for Kyle McCoy to kick things off. On his outside, Chris Champeau, effectively speaking, in the dominant lane as they get real close together. And Chris Champeau, look at him just drive straight around the outside of McCoy to take the lead here on lap number 1, Brian.
Yeah, good move by Chris. Kyle got a little loose, and Chris powered on the outside to take the lead. I was noticing a lot of drivers were very apprehensive going into turn 1, wondering if they would bobble and cause a wreck. As I did see someone in the 61 get their Darlington's drive on lap 1. Hopefully that's not a trend that happens for a good old, I think that's Corey Cook.
Yeah, that is the Cookie Monster himself.
That's a bad start. But it looks like a lot of drivers are starting to single file out here. Oh no, Joe Slama is starting to get really sideways. I think he saved it.
What a save. He just kept that off the inside fence. That was incredible to watch as he's now dropping right down to the back of the pack. He's just dropped in front of the 48 car of Mo Abbat. So he's dropped right down the order there. That's what 18th position he's in now. So he's definitely had a fall from grace to kick things off here. But it's still Chris Champeau leading away from Kyle McCoy. And the top 5 aren't just spreading out. They're also pulling away from the rest of the pack here as we click off some of these early laps now, Brian.
Yeah, the front 5 are just checking out. Now you got to wonder, is are these drivers starting to save in the back, or is it just kind of biding their time? It's a really hard thing to tell. I know a lot of the drivers up front are going to try and do as best they can, especially Chris out in the lead. I mean, that clean air is going to give him everything he needs. This dirty air here is going to make turn in so much worse, and exit even looser or tighter, depending on how the car starts to handle here. As we got a lot of people lined up here with TJ, Austin, Corey, and I believe that's our rookie, Reggie Ortega. They're all lined up, kind of just riding this out. And I think Reggie might be looking to try and make a move on Corey Cook here in another lap or so.
He very well may. I just saw something in the background there. It looks like maybe Frank Isaacson got a big loose moment coming off of turn 4, and he checked up the majority of this backpack here. It looks like everyone managed to survive, so we'll have to keep an eye on this as the race goes on. And right behind the league rookie of Ortega, I notice is the 38 of Thomas Harmon. He's had a spat lately of just really horrible qualifying efforts. Tonight, no exception to that. And he's just seemed to be on the struggle bus a little bit here at the end of this season.
And it's not something you normally see out of Thomas Harmon. He normally qualifies up front, runs up front all night. So it's a little strange. Could just be the car track combos that are just not agreeing with him, or some people have been putting in more practice. But it's definitely strange to see, for sure, Corey.
He's going to try and work over the league rookie here of Ortega, as Ortega right up on the bumper to 61 of the Cookie Monster himself, Corey Cook. And we'll keep an eye on this little battle here, because it's the closest thing we've got to a battle on the track at the moment. I'm saying that Kyle McCoy has started to close in the gap a little bit on Chris Champeau for the lead, although it looks like that's only a temporary reprieve in the corners. He tends to drop back a little bit, so these cars probably starting to get a bit tight, as Thomas Harmon got a little bit of a moment there coming off of turn 2 into turn 3. He was looking like he was going to go for the move there, but just one small mistake on corner exit, and that kind of ruined it for him a little bit there, Brian.
Yeah, that's all it'll take here. If you have to check up so much, it's going to take a long time to get back up to speed. And he's doing a good job of trying to keep on Bryce's bumper here, but he's got to take it easy. I'm sure here in another corner or so, Thomas is just biding his time. Ooh, it looks like got a little loose off of 2. He's going to go for the pass here, going to the free.
Yeah, he's just sticking his nose to the inside now, and he's going to make that move stick by the exit of turn 4. So Thomas Harmon now up into the top 10 for the first time this evening. Let's go check in on our leader, the 12 of Chris Champeau. And it's a pack of 3 here at the front of the pack with Champeau, McCoy, and Rickard. They've pulled away from Brian Chambliss, as Chambliss actually doing really well there in 4th. We haven't seen a good result out of him in a little bit, so it's good to see him back up there and looking good. But this top 3 is pretty stacked.
That top 3, they are doing everything they can to make sure they keep out ahead of everyone. Now, noticing that Scott Rickard is starting to pull in or reel in Kyle McCoy a bit, and Kyle McCoy is kind of stalled out in about 0.2 off of Chris Champeau. So is this where he's starting to back off and kind of let the tire fall off kick in, or is it just Scott's pushing too hard? We'll see, as we've actually got a battle between the 15 and the 72 going into turn 1. TJ going low and gets the pass done on Ken Campbell.
Yeah, we just caught the end of that. That was a very nice overtake there for the 72 of TJ Crampton. And it looks like the 1 of Austin Collins is going to go for a move into turns 3 and 4 this time, as Ken Campbell, he must be wearing a regular t-shirt here tonight, because he seems to be choking a little bit, as also the 38 of Thomas Harmon finally going for the move on Corey Cook just behind. So looks like Thomas Harmon finally on the charge, starting to get a groove with the way this car is handling around this track now, Brian.
Yeah, Thomas last time by was about 1/10 or 2/10 faster than the guys in front of him. So he's starting to definitely get on the throttle a little more here and try to get up front. you can see he's still just biding his time because these cars are starting to get really tight. You can see everyone just kind of fighting that tightness through the center and just having to really be off throttle and just wait for it. So it's going to be interesting as this run goes on how passes are going to be made here because as Thomas Harmon just slapped the wall just ever so slightly coming out of two, allows Corey Cook to catch up, but I don't think Corey will be able to make any sort of move here.
Well, another thing that I'm noticing here is Thomas Harmon running right down on the dotted line there in 3 and 4. He's not slipping up high like most other drivers, and I think that's actually aiding in his tyre conservation here a little bit. Obviously, you have to run high in 1 and 2 so you can get that nice launch with the diamond off of the exit of turn 2 going down the back straight. But he's running the very low line that you can run in 3 and 4, not going out to the wall at all, and it seems to be looking after his tyres quite nicely here, Brian.
Yeah, it is interesting to see the difference in lines around him because you got everyone else running the middle to high line in 3 and 4. I wonder if it's just that bottom either has more grip or just that it's cleaner air down there allowing the car to rotate more, but it seems to be doing wonders for Thomas here.
Yes, he is starting to close in on the back of Ken Campbell now. Campbell trying to run that lower line, but he just slips up into the high lane in the middle of 3 and 4, and now he's going to be under threat from Thomas Harmon. Thomas won't go for the move here in 1 and 2. He'll probably save it all for 3 and 4 because he knows that that's where he's strongest at the moment. Although he did just drop a little bit of time to Campbell there on the entry to turn 1. I'm not sure whether he got a little bit too tight there and had to have an extra lift. But it's a very interesting little bit of a chess game kind of aspect going on here, Brian.
For sure, and even at the front of the field, like we still have our top three of Chris, Kyle, and Scott, and Scott Rickard's actually fallen off just ever so slightly. So it's you're starting to really see where the guys who have pushed too hard too early are starting to really lose it, and those who have been looking after their tires are starting to make up time. As it looks like Thomas is still getting tight out of the corner, so it's interesting to see everyone who has been able to make moves early and see how their speed has either fallen off or kept the same. But it's going to be interesting as it looks like everyone's pretty much strung out here. We do have someone experimenting with alternate dimensions here.
The good old experimental of alternate dimensions. We love to see it, and we love to crack jokes about it. But I think Thomas Harmon right now is starting to fall off a little bit. 61 of Corey Cook, just catching back up to him ever so slightly. But anytime you hit the wall with the right side, it definitely tightens up these cars quite a bit. And it can make the car unnecessarily even tighter than what the setup is designed to be around here, Brian.
Oh, yeah. You get that minor amount of damage, wheel damage, aero damage. It's not something you want to do, especially when these cars are already so tight. So you'll see a lot of drivers who have barely scraped the wall here may just randomly start falling off just because the most minuscule damage. So keeping the car clean is definitely what you need to do all night.
Now let's look up ahead of these guys a little bit. Jonathan Hernandez, who is still locked in battle with the 72 TJ Crampton. These guys battling over the 5th position, and looks like TJ driving very hard right now, and he's going to pull to the inside of Hernandez into turn 3, and it looks like TJ, 2 wheels on the apron. He's going to try and go for it, but Jonathan Hernandez holding a very nice line there on the outside of 3 and 4, but he just doesn't quite have enough. Had to do an extra lift on the exit because he got tight, and TJ Crampton now up into the top 5, Brian.
Yeah, TJ into P5. I've been monitoring his lap times. He's been consistently one of the fastest cars on track for the last 3 laps. So I'm wondering if he's starting to push or if he saved enough of that right front to kind of make up a lot of the time. It'll be interesting to see if him pushing now is actually going to cause more of a headache down the road.
Well, we'll wait and see. We're only 23 laps into this run, so not expecting pit stops till at least around lap 50, but he's starting to pull away from Jonathan Hernandez, who is also at the same time starting to fall into the clutches of Austin Collins and the rest of this pack, as the 15 of Ken Campbell is going to look for the move on the inside of Collins into turn 3. The 61 of Corey Cook trying to get into this as well. They're almost 2x2 as Collins got a little bit of wiggle mid-corner, and he's going to lose not 1, not 2, but 3 positions in that whole exchange. So now this little group being led by Ken Campbell as they go off into turn 1, Brian.
And all it took was that little bobble on the outside, and you just get freight trained. But good on everyone for keeping it out of off each other, because that bobble could have sent him into the wall too. So it very good car control by everyone around him, including Austin. I don't want to discredit Austin at all. That was great.
Let's go check back in on our leaders. We actually had a couple of position changes there for the lead. Kyle McCoy very briefly up into the lead. He's fallen back to second right now, but he is looking very fast here on the tail of Chris Champeau. And it looks like he might go for the move here in turn 3. He goes to the lower line, just gets his nose up to the left rear, and it doesn't look like he's going to quite have the run to make the move, as Chris Champeau driving very nicely there, just defensively holding him off as we start lap number 26. So we're already a quarter of the way through this race now, Brian.
And as we come out of 2, this battle has actually afforded some time for Scott Rickard to get caught up, and now we have a 3-way battle for the lead starting to form as Chris goes low this time and allows Kyle to run the wall. I'm curious because he was able to hold him off last time by. So here comes Kyle with the run down the front stretch. See if Kyle wants to poke his nose into turn 1. He does. He goes low and just barely clears Chris in the middle of 1 and 2, and we have a new leader, Kyle McCoy.
All right, now with that lane change, we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will be going until we get some green flag pit stops. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More action from the Throw Your Back Out 136 will be coming up very shortly. Welcome back down to the Darlington Raceway for the Throw Your Back Out 136 right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. And Mark Pentecoff has actually come into the pits a couple of times. First time he went and got some damage repaired, but you were saying there during the commercial break, Brian, that he had to come down for a penalty as well.
Yeah, so it looked like when Mark came down for pit road, he may have had a little bit of issue. I couldn't verify, but it looks like it just the most minor amount, add insult to injury to an already bad race for Mark. He was doing pretty good. It looks like he caked the right front into the wall and had to go get some damage fixed.
And now he is 3 laps down, and just hoping for a caution or two so he can get some of that back. But the lead is still with the 16 of Kyle McCoy right now, and he's actually pulled away from Chris Champeau. Got a .7 second gap between himself and P2. Scott Rickard started falling off the back of Champeau again as well, as he's gone to .7 back from Champeau as well. So the gap's starting to form here, and I can see TJ Crampton 1.5 off the back of Scott Rickard, and that has been sitting pretty stable there as the gap between third and fourth for a little bit, Brian.
Yeah, earlier we talked about TJ pushing and making up time. Now I'm just wondering if all the tires have like equalized to the point where it's now just kind of conserve and make sure you don't put yourself in a wall and get ready for this pit cycle coming in about 15-20 laps and make sure you're in the right place to make up time, as TJ has been doing a phenomenal job of keeping that thing clean all night.
Another thing of note here is I'm just looking through the standings. Thomas Harmon has made it into the top 5. He got around most of that traffic, and so too did Ken Campbell. He must have swapped to the V-neck while we were in commercial break because he stopped choking and he's made his way up into P4, Brian.
We do love ourselves some inside jokes around here and output for sure. But yeah, Ken Campbell has definitely picked up the pace a bit, and same with Thomas Harmon as they're starting to make their way to the front.
One noticeable absence from tonight's racing is Sir Lop. It's strange that he's not here because he was so keen for running this season, and we hope that he's all right. It'd be good to see him come back next week, but it's just one of those drivers that even though he's only raced with us a couple times, he's already made a big impression on us as a community, Brian.
For sure, Sir Lop coming in, one of our rookie drivers, and always trying to do his best out here, but also always trying to be humble around everyone and help and just own up to mistakes if he has any. And I think everyone appreciates an honest driver for sure.
As we go check back in on our leader, Mr. Kyle McCoy, is he's starting to catch up to some lap traffic as Shoemaker has come into the pits, and looks like Frank Isaacson is the lap car in front of Kyle McCoy, about to go a lap down. Great to see Frank back out there. We detailed a little bit about his exploits last week. Can you fill us in a little bit more on what he was up to while he was absent from us, Brian?
I can do my best. Frank's kids have autism. So while Frank was away, he was actually wrapping his car in the autism awareness puzzle pieces and placing a name of a kid who had autism and writing it on each puzzle piece and taking that to a car show. And he spent 2, 3, 4 weeks working on that. As I hate to break away from that, we had a really big bobble out of the 68 of Andrew Griesbaum fighting Matt Horton out of turn 4, and looks like he's gathered it up. But that was a really big wobble, and good on everyone for keep making sure they didn't wreck, because I was nervous for that one.
I also noticed Matt Horton driving very defensively there along the front straight, pulled down to the low lane, so that way Griesbaum couldn't get the run on him. It's going to make him fairly tight here on the exit of 2. Gives Griesbaum the run. Actually, that was coming out of turn 4. I'm an idiot, don't mind me. I'm still stuck in the 90s when pit straight was on the other side, as terrible turn 2 is now terrible turn 4. As these guys in a nice little group here is Kyle Kraus. He got loose coming out of turn 2 there, pulled to the infield, and now he is the wedge in between Horton and Griesbaum.
I talked to Kyle earlier today. He said he was really looking forward to this race. He said he loved Darlington. So, there's a big stack up around Mark Pentecoff.
I'm not sure what happened there. It looks like Mark and Corey Cook have had an incident together. Let's see if we can have a quick look at it. Oh. Yeah, that's not good at all. No. It looks like Corey Cook got into the fence, checked up, and then he got punted by Mark Pentecoff, and that's what created that little bit of a stack up. So not fun times there for Cook or for Pentacup as Corey Cook now comes into the pits to get damage fixed and I guess get his change of tyres now and again back into the pits as well. The 43 of Shoemaker. So this league hasn't seemed to be too friendly to the rookies as Shoemaker back in the pits once again, Brian.
I'm wondering what happened with Shoemaker because it looked like he went down pit road for trying to do an undercut, and suddenly he's back down pit road. I'm curious if maybe he got a little loose or had an issue with the pit stop setting, but he seems to still be parked on pit road. I wonder if he has damage. I'm very unsure as to what's going on right now with Bryce.
That's right. Oh, around goes Jonathan Hernandez. That's out of turn 2. No caution because he is on what would be considered the apron. But that was a wild ride there for Jonathan Hernandez. Let's take that back and have a look at that in slow-mo. He has the 48 of Mo Bat right behind him. You can see he's already sideways in this picture as the back end comes around. Mo very, very wisely just getting on the brakes there, making sure he didn't get into him. Single car incident for the 2 of Jonathan Hernandez. And just a slight little tap on the fence as well. That is not going to do good things for Jonathan Hernandez here tonight, Brian.
Oh no, it's devastating for Jonathan. He was up in the top 10, and his car is still very sideways from that slide. So he's gonna have to do his best to hold on to this. It looks like he's gonna come down pit road and make the call just to get it 4 fresh tires and a little bit of damage fixed as well, just to try and mitigate any more of the time he's gonna lose from that spin.
And it's also pretty smart to get down there. He was almost going to go a lap down. So he's gone down to try and get an undercut as well as getting the damage fixed and everything else on top. Mo Bat has just come into pit lane as well. So we're starting to get the green flag stops as we are hovering around that lap 50. Some guys coming in early for the undercut, get on fresh tires and fuel up to the end, which means their tires are going to be very, very secondhand by the end of this race, Brian.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the strategy going on. It looks like we have some drivers trying to go for a 2-stop versus a 1-stop strategy, as it looks like Jonathan Hernandez has pulled it into the garage for the night, and damage may have been too extensive, and he just decided to call it. So, but a rough night for Jonathan Hernandez.
A rough night indeed, and he was one of those right up there in a decent position in the points. This will certainly give him a little bit of a whack, and he'll be under threat of losing his top 10 position, as I think I just saw Matt Horton making a move on Mark Pentacup. The 7, Kyle Kraus, is coming into the pits. So a lot of different strategies going on now as people all over the place are figuring things out. Andrew Griesbaum in the 68 also on pit road. And this is not the time for a caution to come out for those guys if we do get one here, Brian.
Yeah, it's interesting to see these drivers trying to pit. I think the more that pit here very soon, it's going to be one of those, do you want to run it out and wait for a caution, as the ones with fresh tires, we talk about it all night. Cold tires were super loose and wait to see if the ones on fresh tires spin, cause a caution, or do you want to wait this out? But if this undercut is, if these people who going into pit road early are going to make up more time, would staying out actually help? So it's going to be a lot of strategy going on here for the next 10 laps.
That's right. Niederhelm and Masia have just come into the pits as well. They were in a group of cars that were under threat of going a lap down. We just had another one come to the pits. That's the number 1 of Austin Collins. So a lot of people starting to get their pit stops done. Austin coming in on the start of lap 50 as when the leader crosses the line this time. As we look at our leader, Kyle McCoy, now with a 3.5 second lead over Chris Champeau. And he'll take the cross flags. We're 50 laps down, 50 laps to go, 75 miles left in this race, Brian.
Yeah, 50 laps to go, and I want to bring a really quick point to the leader of Kyle McCoy, who stretched that lead out to 3 seconds. So Kyle McCoy is just on rails tonight.
He absolutely is as he comes out of turn 4. And we've got a couple other people in the pits now. I saw the 99 Lane Ritchie came into the pits. We've got league rookie Ortega and Jaron Sanchez also in the pits. League founder Jaron Sanchez, I should say. And we'll be expecting a lot more pit stops now that we're past the halfway mark. A lot of people going for the even tyre strategy. But if history serves correct, then generally going for the overcut is what works in these races, as there's a lot of smoke on the track at pit entry. I think that was Marquez in the double O car coming into the pits, Brian.
And Marquez looks like he might have locked up a little bit going into pit road, as we've got a battle going on between the 38 and the 13. Looks like Thomas either fallen off or actually. Sorry, Matthew is out on fresh tires. Thank you, Race Labs Overlay. You suck.
Damn, Massia.
It didn't update. I apologize to everyone.
The Massia lap down as he gets his way around Thomas Harmon. Now, Thomas has been doing a really good job here of trying to just handle his tires, get him to last as long as he can. And we just had a comment in the live Twitch chat from Mr. Jonathan Hernandez saying that saying the set is garbage is an understatement. So we have the feelings of the real life driver right there, as Watson and Slama have both come into the pits, and now go a lap down here to Kyle McCoy and Matt Horton. Ooh.
We had some fresh tires versus old tire issue there between Kyle Krause and Mo Abbat, as Kyle came out of 2 just a little bit faster and almost ran Mo over, and they got it going straight. But it was you're seeing this difference between fresh tires and old tires, as the strategy is starting to really play out.
And speaking of old versus new, there's also Austin Collins and Andrew Griesbaum there, as they get onto the back of Mo Abbat and get around the 88 of Matt Horton. I think Mo also on fresher tires, but his tires aren't as fresh as the guys around him, as contact is made between Collins and Abbat, and it looks like they've managed to pull that one off. Griesbaum also going to look for the inside move here on Mo Abbat, and we'll see if he can get that one done. He's got the run here in turn 2, down on the apron a little bit, but he lost way too much momentum, having to check up, make sure he didn't get into Mo Abbat there on the exit of turn 2, Brian.
Yeah, this is one of those times where it's like you've got fresh tires, trying to make as much ground up as you can so you can start just getting back into a rhythm and save that right front. But we've got a lot of drivers that are still out on these old set of tires, so it, we said historically that the overcut is what seems to work, but at what point is the point of no return for the drivers up front, as Kyle, Chris, Ken, TJ, and it looks like Scott has fallen all the way down to 5th.
And indeed he has, as we only have 7 cars left to complete their pit stops, as Andrew Griesbaum has finally gotten around Mo Abbat, and that is going to be for the 11th position. So these guys fighting on the precipice of the top 10. So it's very interesting times right now. We're going back to Thomas Harmon, as he's been hounded by Brian Chambliss, and I think that's Jonas Marquez with him on fresh tires. So Brian, he's been really looking after his tires here, and he's been looking pretty strong in these last few laps compared to Thomas.
Absolutely, and so it's one of those now. Is Thomas going to try and pit as he's starting to fall back a bit, as we had the leader, Kyle McCoy, come into pit road. So now it's wonder of when will everyone else pit? Do you want to are they going to try and stay out even longer to make up time against Kyle, or are they going to try and pit just to make sure they don't lose any more? As soon as the leader pits, most people tend to come down a few laps after, and Ken Campbell just said he's pitting, and same with Thomas Harmon. So look forward to them pitting here very shortly.
We were just watching Kyle McCoy as he came out of the pits, and Corey Cook and Kyle Kraus both got the undercut on him. So we're going to have at least 2 cars in front of them, but they're on much older tyres than McCoy, so McCoy should be able to make pretty short work of these guys, as we only have 2 cars left to pit. There's the 05 Scott Rickard and the 67 of Brian Chambliss, and that's Brian with an I for those playing at home. So in the week of the Brians, Brian with an I beats Brian with a Y, because Brian with a Y is up here in the booth with me.
Another week of losing to the Brian with an I. We'll get him next week.
As McCoy has now made the move for P2, going around the Cookie Monster. Scott Rickard has come into the pits to leave just Brian Chambliss out on track as the only car to not pit. And it looks like he's going to start making his way to the pit lane this time. And that'll give free passage there to Kraus and McCoy. As McCoy just got around Kraus.
So the lead back to Kyle McCoy with 3 laps on his tires. And for anyone keeping track at home, Kyle Kraus, Corey Cook, and Austin Collins all have 10 lap more. 10 more laps on their tires than McCoy. So McCoy's just going to check out here for a while. It'll be interesting to see how everyone around the top 5 who pit later starts to make their way through the field as Jonas gets out of the way for McCoy.
Yeah, very smartly so indeed. He doesn't want to get caught up in that battle with the leader, as he knows the leader has superior pressure tires. So now we have just 19 cars on the lead lap, and as it looks like Brian Chambliss has fallen right down the order, he's going to come out of the pits in the 16th position. So the overcut strategy for him not working out so well. Looks like he had a very slow entry into the pits. And Lane Ritchie back into the pits once more as well, Brian.
Yeah, a lot of drivers are definitely struggling with this pit entrance around here. I'm curious what happened with Lane. I wonder if he was trying to do the 2-stop strategy or not. I have not been able to keep up with all the drivers here tonight. But I'd like to point out, so all the drivers that went in after lap 55, Kyle McCoy was one of the first drivers from the lead pack, and he is got a 7-second gap over Chris Champeau, who came in 2 laps after him, and has TJ Crampton right behind him, another half second. So getting that track position and making sure you get on and off pit road in a timely fashion has really helped Kyle McCoy extend his lead.
Yeah, Kyle McCoy has really become the Christian Budd of the Xfinity era here. As I said, as a joke last week, we might actually have to put a bounty on his head if he wins another one, because he's showing some pretty dominant speed out here, and I reckon Christian Budd is about the only one who'll be able to challenge him.
Are we sure it's not Christian Budd behind the wheel?
I mean, it's not confirmed or denied. We haven't seen them both in the same room since Kyle McCoy has gotten very dominant. Kyle McCoy makes his way out of turn 2 quite nicely. Just being very smooth right now. He's got 1.8 seconds to the next lap car ahead of him. That is the 66 of Sam Niederhelm. And he's just taking it nice and easy, not looking to get right up on his tail to begin with. So it looks like Kyle McCoy just looking after his tyres in this run. He knows he's got a big gap over some of these guys behind him, as Chris Champeau has just made his way into the 4th position. So Chris Champeau definitely looking good right now.
Yeah, Chris and TJ both pushing pretty hard to start making up time on those fresh tires around those in front of them who pit early. They're definitely got the pace for getting through these guys, but it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes down after they're done getting around those with a little bit older tires if those two are going to end up fighting here for a bit, as TJ was faster for a good portion of that early run. So it'll keep an eye on them to possibly have a battle here very shortly.
Yeah, it is very possible indeed, although TJ Crankton was balked behind Andrew Griesbaum there for a little bit. He just couldn't quite keep up pace with him as Chris Champeau has just made his way around Austin Collins. That is for the 3rd position. So now Chris Champeau is going to start chasing after the 7 of Kyle Kraus. The gap between them is about 1.2 seconds at the moment, and it's closing very quickly, Brian.
It is absolutely closing quickly, as we've got another battle between fresh and old tires here. In fact, I think Scott and Thomas pit around the same time, so now they are really going at it, going into turn 3.
That's right. They are battling for the 11th position. They're also catching up to Joe Slammer and James Watson, who are battling over the 9th position, as Ken Campbell has just gotten around Andrew Griesbaum to make his way into P6. And it looks like Scott Rickard might be just sitting on the back of Thomas here. Thomas, another uncharacteristic bad week for him, as we were describing earlier. And once you get into the back of the pack like this, it's just so hard to try and pull it back into a decent finishing result, Brian.
Yeah, we had a big moment with Corey Cook and Andrew Griesbaum going into 3. I don't know if there's miscommunication on tires or braking zones, but Corey Cook has completely removed Andrew Griesbaum's bumper.
Oh, he has indeed. I saw a little bit of red sitting on the bottom of 3 and 4. I was wondering what it was. So now we have our answer. One of the track crew must have gone out there and collected it, as just behind these guys I can see the 38 Thomas Harmon just starting to monster his way through the field. Corey Cook going for the inside move on Griesbaum, as sideways was Joe Slammer, just about getting the Morse code from the 38 of Harmon. So the race starting to spice up here for the back end of the top 10. Slammer goes for the move on Griesbaum. Similarly, so too does everyone else, as Griesbaum got into the fence there. And Thomas Harmon has turned that into a move on not just Joe Slammer, but onto the inside of Corey Cook as well here, Brian.
Excellent move by Thomas to capitalize on everyone having to watch out for Griesbaum. Everyone making it through cleanly, which is a kudos to all the drivers out there. And as he got through, Thomas is now just pulling away from Scott.
Well, Scott was also making moves in that whole situation. Side by side behind them, though, was Slammer and Cook. Cook not having a great run there in 3 and 4. In fact, he looks like he's going very slow now, as James Watson has made his way around the outside. So too did Brian Chambliss. So the different tyre strategies definitely playing a bit of a wild card here, but these guys in this pack are half a lap behind our leader, Mr. Kyle McCoy, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where this tire strategy really played out for Kyle, and being able to extend his lead, and with everyone having to battle with different tire strategies costed everyone more and more time. So you got to wonder if the overcut, undercut, who really won here. I would say those the top 3 definitely were able to make a lot of gains here, as I saw a lot of smoke down the backstretch, but I did not see a car that was slowing.
I think it might have been the 5 of Mark Pentecoff. He's just made his way into the pits once more. So unfortunate day for Mr. Mark Pentecoff. But with that, we are going to go to another quick commercial break now. And when we come back, we will be going to the checkered flag. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More action from the Throw Your Back Out 136 will be coming up shortly. Welcome back down to the Darlington Raceway for what should be a thrilling conclusion here to the Throw Your Back Out 136 here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. As we're looking at our leader, Kyle McCoy, who has a 6-second lead over the 12 of Chris Champeau. But Champeau and TJ Crampton still locked in a bit of a stalemate here. There's about a second gap between those two. And that is the gap for second and third. Mark Pentecoff back into the pits once more after making a mistake on the back straight there. We also have 3 DNFs from this race now, Brian. So it's not just Hernandez that's out. We also have Lane Ritchie out and Shoemaker, our league rookie, is out as well.
Yeah, this is a tough track, and so you get, especially with how output can operate sometimes, where it's like you see in the pit parties, everyone trying their best and as hard as possible. Then in the race, everyone tones it back, and we go green. So if you get any sort of trouble, you're in a lot of hurt here. So that's unfortunate for those three, as we've got a battle between Harmon and Scott Rickard just going. It's been going on for the past 6-7 laps. Scott's getting ever so closer to Harmon, but I don't know that he'll be able to make the move with 18 to go.
Well, we'll wait and see what he can do. Right behind them as well, the number 1 of Austin Collins, who is trying to get in on this battle, although he is starting to lose a little bit more time to these guys. And Thomas Harmon, for him, this is a race he'd rather forget, as it's only going to be a P5 if he can manage to hold off Scott Rickard. But these guys fighting over the last spot in the top 5. As you said, 18 to go. In fact, it's 16 to go now, I think, as the leader just crossed the start-finish line. So time winding down very quickly for these guys to start making some moves, Brian.
Absolutely. And we had just talked about Chris Champeau and TJ Crampton have stalled out. TJ has reeled in Champeau, and they are now battling down the backstretch. So again, this is the time where if you're saving tires, you might want to start burning them off to hold your positions if you can.
That is
as TJ is starting to look.
And that is exactly right. As down to turns 1 and 2, TJ not going for the move this time. Looks like he's trying to save all his moves for 3 and 4. Just trying to get the better run in 1 and 2 as he runs a slightly lower line. Chris got a little bit loose that time coming out of turn 2. And this is the opportunity for TJ if he can take it, and he's not going to be able to, as both drivers run the midline in turn 3, which comes the low line for turn 4. So the battle on for these guys, but they're a quarter of a lap behind the leader. So as far as going for the race win is concerned, these guys are well out of the running, but still quite the intense battle for the rest of the top 3 positions, Brian.
Absolutely. This has been a fantastic race to watch so far. Everyone's been doing a very good job in keeping it off the wall as much as possible, and giving each other room. And I'm just going through the field real fast, and we've got the 68 and the 88 battling as well in 1 and 2. But other than that, everyone's been pretty much strung out.
Oh, and here goes the move for Matt Horton. Now he gets to the inside of Griesbaum. These guys arguing over the 16th position. And Horton looks to have taken it for now. Yep, he just has him cleared coming out of turn 4. So that's Horton now up into 16th and Griesbaum down to 17th. As Crampton has also made the move for P2. And he's starting to pull away from Chris Champeau as we speak, Brian.
Yep, it was only a matter of time. TJ was just biding his time. He's been consistently faster and reeled him in. So Chris was doing a fantastic job of trying to hold his line and hold him off as long as possible.
Let's go check in on Thomas Harmon and Scott Rickard. They're still battling over the 5th position. Rickard just hasn't really been able to get a run on Harmon. And it shows that Harmon has just been looking after his tyres this run. And whenever Rickard looks like he's about to go for a move, it just seems like Thomas Harmon slips the thing into 5th briefly and is able to just hold him off that ever so slightly, Brian.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if that clean air has been helping Thomas as they're coming up to the lap car of Travis Massier.
Yeah, we'll see how this one's going to play out. Thomas is building a little bit of a gap over Rickett at the moment. And I think that's just due to the draft on the straights from Massier as they go through turns 1 and 2. And let's see what kind of a run Harmon's going to get on Massier here. Look at the speed difference as Massier gets loose coming out of turn 2. I think that was half loose, half just getting the hell out of the way, as Thomas Harmon will now continue on with the clean air in front of him, as the next car ahead of him is going to be Ken Campbell in P4, but he's 2.8 seconds up the road, and with 10 laps to go, it's going to be a hard bridge to gap there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like actually we may have a battle coming here for third, as Chris Champeau is kind of slowed down a little bit, allowing Ken to catch up a little bit. Ken is now almost half a second behind him. So I keep a watch on that and see if Ken can catch up and go for third place.
Well, we've got our eyes on the battle now. There's a couple of battles forming throughout the field. Kraus and Abat just had a battle. Kraus up into 11th, Abat down to 12th. The next close battle is actually both of them catching up to James Watson in the 39. That'll be for the 10th position. Collins and Chambliss are locked in Mortal Kombat as well. Let's go check in on that one real quick, as to the inside of Collins was Chambliss. Couldn't quite get the move made. So Collins defends quite nicely there coming out of 4, but Chambliss has a lot more pace over Collins at the moment, Brian.
Yeah, and you got to wonder how the tires are going to really play into a factor here, as it's really tight and really hard to make a pass here. And while that battle is going on, we got a battle for third. Ken Campbell is making a move on Chris Champeau into turn 1.
Yep, we went back to that battle just as quickly as we could, as the 12 of Champeau caught the fence a little bit there in the middle of 1 and 2, got loose on exit, and that facilitated the move for Ken Campbell to get up on his inside and make that move stick. And now Campbell, he's definitely swapped to the V-neck, either that or he has gone shirtless, so he can race pretty freely here, and he's going to try and chase down TJ Crampton. Although that is probably going to be a bit of a futile effort, because there's 2.5 seconds separating P2 and 3 right now, Brian.
Yeah, with 5.5 laps to go, Ken has been pretty quick, but their time is going to just run out here. So Ken's going to probably just wow, why are words hard?
Because words are hard.
Sit in and just and just kind of ride and wait for the end, and maybe if we get an ill-timed caution, try to maybe go for a different pit strategy than those around him.
Well, speaking of battles, though, the 67 of Brian Chambliss, we saw it on screen, finally got around the 1 of Austin Collins. But this is a 3-way battle now, as Joe Slama right there behind Austin as well. So we could see this battle come to a big end here, as actually Chambliss starting to pull away already from Austin. So that tire difference is making a big gap here between those two. And we'll see if Slama can try and make a move here, but with almost 3 laps to go, as our leader is just coming out of turn 4, it's going to be very difficult for Slama to make his way into what will be the 8th position, Brian.
Yes, you see Slama get a little sideways out of 2 there, pushing really hard, trying to catch up to Collins and Chambliss here. And as they're pushing, you're going to see a lot more cars sideways, as he's going for the move on Austin Collins down the front stretch, and he decides to back out at the last second, just as he didn't have that enough of a nose into going into 1.
The leader has just come out of turn 4, And we now officially have 2 to go, so it is the penultimate lap as the leader makes his way through turns 1 and 2. We're sticking with watching this battle for a little bit here as Slama gets up into the fence once more after almost getting into the back of Austin Collins. Collins has been sticking with Chambliss here as the laps continue on, but if Slama is going to make this move, he's going to have to do it here very shortly, or else he will run out of time. But the 16 of Kyle McCoy will come across the line to start the last lap. It's white flag, last lap, last chance to win it or wreck it as he makes his way through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. He is super smooth right here, and just look at the way he diamonds off the corner, comes off, doesn't go anywhere near the fence. There was at least a foot of a gap between himself and the fence there. Comes into turns 3 and 4 for the final time, and your winner of the Throw Your Back Out 136 here from the Darlington Raceway will be the 16 of Kyle McCoy. And another dominant effort here at Darlington. P2 goes the way of TJ Crampton. P3 will be the 15 of Ken Campbell, Brian.
And as we're coming to the end of this, there's been a massive development between Joe Slama and Austin Collins as Austin got extremely sideways out of turn 2, and Joe was just able to edge him out at the end by a very small amount. It was a very, very close battle going into 3.
All right, so we've got the results on the screen. McCoy, Cranton, Campbell, Champo, Harmon, Rickard, Chambliss, Slama, Collins, and Watson as your top 10. Then it's Abat, Kraus, Cook, Sanchez, Ortega, Horton, Griezmann, Marquez, Macia, Niederhelm down to 20th. And then it's Isaacson, Pentacuff, Richie, Shoemaker, and Hernandez wrapping up the field. Of course, Richie, Shoemaker, Hernandez all out of the race. And Mark Pentacuff, who finished the race 17 laps down. So quite unfortunate there for him. As Kyle McCoy burning it down. We're going to go to our last commercial break of the night. And when we come back, we will be going to driver interviews. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Alrighty, it is time now for driver interviews, and we're kicking things off with our third place getter here tonight. And tonight's third place getter is the 15 of Mr. Ken Campbell. Ken, the big question on everyone's lips, what are you wearing?
Wearing a regular T-shirt that definitely got tied around the collar on a pit entry. So, so I was tearing at it the whole rest of the race.
Yeah, the speculation was wild. We thought you were wearing a t-shirt earlier in the run, and then you must have swapped to a V-neck at some point because you stopped choking. But no, it was a good race for you out there. It looked like a very difficult kind of setup. Started out very loose and then got very tight to the point of where it'd be snappy loose. What was it like for you out there, dealing with the way that the setup was feeling and just trying to control the car?
Yeah, the setup was it was a handful for sure. It definitely would have been better if I'd been running a Team Watson setup, but I kept overdriving 3 and chattering the tires going into 3, and I think that kind of helped me out later in the run, and I just figured to just back everything up and run the bottom, and that was working for me enough because especially late in the run, everybody was kind of drifting up, and so it just kind of gave me that clean air to keep the rotation in it, and I noticed everybody that was getting tight was kind of double apexing right there or diamond in the corner rather, and so I just tried to keep clean air on my nose, go around the bottom, and keep the RPMs as low as I could and steady on throttle, and it seemed to work out for me.
No, it definitely seemed to work out very nicely. His third place finish is nothing to sneeze at, especially when some of the races this season just haven't quite gone your way.
Yeah, it's been a mix of different stuff, and honestly, I got into the session during qualifying, and so my qualifying laps were my practice laps for the entire week, and so. Um, Even when you're not in sim, stuff doesn't go your way. So I had some stuff just in life where we're just busy and wasn't able to put in the practice time. So I was glad that I was able to kind of learn on the fly. That's something I've been trying to do, and instead of coming in over prepared and just doing the one thing, is trying to learn, and definitely learned some things tonight that I think I can take moving forward as well, and hopefully have a little bit better success.
Well, speaking of looking forward, next week we're going to be going to Kentucky. So, what's the feeling like for you as we head to the Kentucky Speedway?
I I'm not a fan of Kentucky. Um, is it New Kentucky Legacy? Do you know?
Not quite sure.
It is New Kentucky.
There you go.
Okay, so it's the new track that I hate, not the old track that I hate. So a little bit more grip there, at least. And so yeah, hopefully I can take some of the stuff that I learned tonight and make it better than in the past. Because historically, I do not run well at Kentucky at all.
All right, Ken. Before we let you go here tonight, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, my wife and kids, their support everything that I do. All the drivers and admins here at Output. It's so much fun to just come in, race really hard with these guys, and have a good time in the Discord as well. Everybody at Team Watson Racing Setups for their support. Go check them out if open setups is your thing, and you up in the booth.
All right, thank you very much for coming out, and congratulations on coming home P3. We look forward to seeing what we can do next week at Kentucky.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that was our third place getter here tonight, the 15 of Ken Campbell. Coming up next, we are going to have our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award winner. And tonight's Hard Charger is also our second place getter. And our second place getter is the 72 of TJ Crampton. TJ, hard charger and P2 on the night. Congratulations on doing good on what is probably one of the most difficult oval tracks in the service.
Yeah, P2 is a great accomplishment, especially hitting the wall and spinning out on my second lap in qualifying. So uh, to rebound and pass all the cars that I did and finish P2, It's very exciting, especially at a tough track like this. So it's very rewarding.
Now, you were only one of two drivers that got +9 in the race. It was yourself and Kyle Kraus, but you edged him out with a better result. What was it like just trying to navigate the traffic and also figuring out when to pit so that way you could have the fresher tires later in the run to get through some of the guys on older tires?
It was tricky because towards like I don't know the lap 40 and so on, people were doing different strategies. I think some people pitted early and maybe to try to do a 3 stop or something, and then so you had guys on really old tires and really fresh tires. Sam ran on the back of me pretty quick, and uh, I there was a couple times like Travis and Sam that I didn't even realize they were on my rear end, and went in the corner, and they were like, "I'm going inside." I'm like, "Oh, sorry," and so it was very tricky. And then when we came down pit road, I didn't really know when to pit. It was just kind of a matter of when do the guys around me pit, because I'm not a big strategy guy. I don't really anytime I try to do my own strategy, it just kind of goes to you know what. So just kind of gauge around the guys around me, and luckily that kind of worked out, and I was able towards the end get Chris. He got the wall pretty good there, so that was good.
All right, now let's look forward to next week. We're going to be going to the Kentucky Speedway. So, what's the feeling like for you as we go to the horse racing capital of the world?
Yeah, Kentucky is a very interesting track. I do have one win there in a different league in this car, so I do like it. Not as much as some other mile and a halves, but it's a pretty fun track, and hopefully you can put on a good result there.
All right, TJ, before we let you go here tonight, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank you for broadcasting and everyone here at Output, and I want to thank Team Watson Racing and James Watson, Redline Oil, and Extreme Mufflers.
All right, thank you very much for coming out, TJ. Congratulations on coming home P2, and we look forward to seeing what you can do next week in Kentucky.
Take it.
All right, guys, that was our second place skater and our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award winner, the 72 of TJ Crampton. Coming up next, I've been calling him the Christian Budd of the new generation for a while now, and it's even more deserved so now with another super dominant victory. Of course, it is the 16 of Kyle McCoy. Kyle,
Hey,
nice,
Corey.
smooth, easy race for you out there. You took the lead right from the outset after getting around Chris Champeau, and you just didn't look back after you took the lead.
Yeah, went smooth again. Love racing this track. I love it when it goes long because I feel like kind of excel on this old slick surface for whatever reason. So yeah, I kind of just bode my time behind Chris, kind of waiting to see if he's gonna slip a right rear up, and eventually he started slipping. He did a really good job. I was kind of surprised that he dropped back when he did because I thought he was gonna be able to hang on. He had some really good speed, but eventually his right rear kind of went away, and I dipped around him. So yeah, it was kind of awesome to have it turn out like this a few weeks in a row now.
Now let's talk about the pit strategy because you decided to pit a little bit earlier than the other guys who were immediately behind you. What was it like trying to figure out your strategy for when to pit and forcing everyone else behind you to pit?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes down to at this place more than anything, like making sure you pit before everybody else is on new tires. Because if you wait and you're the only one on old tires and everybody else is blowing by you, it's really hard to get down. So I always pit a little earlier here, I think, than most places, just because I want to have a gap and I want to have some room. And I'd still about miss pit road, even with all of that going my way. So it was kind of I didn't want to go too long because I didn't want to let those guys have a huge advantage, and I felt like if we went any longer, it'd be hard. I didn't want to run my tires so hard that they fell off in 30 laps. I wanted to have a little bit of a longer run, so short pitted a couple laps and probably gave up a little bit of time on the back end, but I kind of had it to spare, so that it was the safest play for sure.
All right, now let's look forward to next week. We're going to be going to the Kentucky Speedway. What's the feeling like for you as we head into horse country?
Oh, I hate Kentucky. That's my least favorite track. So this streak's probably over, but um, we'll see how it goes. I don't know if we're running the new one or the old one, but neither
The
of them
new
are
one.
good for me. So the new one, that's especially bad. So so we'll be trying to survive for the most part, and I'll see if I can make some gains there. But yeah, this is a good run while it lasted. We'll just put it like that.
All right, Kyle, before we let you go here tonight, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, special thanks to Scott for putting this paint scheme together. This is pretty sweet. It's old Looney Tunes paint scheme back from when all those Chevys ran it in 2002. So we're kind of throwing it back. And those schemes were super cursed, and this scheme's 2 for 2 in league races. So this is really cool. It's not very often that you put a limited paint scheme in victory lane. Most of the time I crash them. So special shout out to him. He put together an awesome scheme. Shout out to you for putting the broadcast on. Sorry, it's kind of spoiled the show again tonight, but hopefully it was entertaining watching everybody battle the track. And yeah, shout out to everybody who puts the league on. Having a blast in here so far this year.
Well, it's unfortunate because we didn't get to see your scheme at all. Apparently, my trading paints crashed before you loaded into the session, so we didn't get to see your paint scheme at all. It's just a white car. So I just turned it on, so
Shoot. Well,
hopefully we'll be able to see it shortly.
is a throwback to the old Jimmy Johnson Looney Tunes paint scheme. So if anybody knows what that looks like, you can kind of put it in your head and imagine it. So.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming out, Kyle. Congratulations on another dominant win. And we look forward to seeing if you can indeed continue the streak next week at Kentucky.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that was tonight's winner, Kyle McCoy, in the 16 car. And a great race out there, Brian. We're going to keep Kyle up there on screen to see if we can get this paint scheme to load in time. But quite the intriguing race, especially in the mid packs.
Definitely, it was interesting to see how everyone over time developed a strategy for the track and trying to undercut each other with the pit strategy and how loose everyone was, because we heard everyone's going to get super tight, and then here we see people getting super sideways. Everyone did a phenomenal job of trying to keep the car underneath them. We had a few casualties. Jonathan is the most notable that I can think of right now. But overall, it was a really good race.
All right, and when can we expect to see you back out on track? We know you recently went through surgery, and you had to have a couple of weeks off at the very least. So when can we expect to see you back out on track and racing with everyone?
Earliest is going to be next Tuesday. We'll have to see how everything goes. So far, recovery's been good. It's just a matter of how I feel next Tuesday, and I'm hoping to be back on track as soon as possible.
All right, and I want to give you a quick shout out for coming up into the booth and having a shotgun commentating session with me. You had no choice in the matter. I was dragging you here whether you liked it or not. I hope you had fun while you were here. Anyone you want to give a shout out to while I got you up here?
But yeah, you Corey, of course, because always do a phenomenal job broadcasting, and I'm just here to spoil the fun and bring down the quality just ever so slightly. But I really thank you for having me. It's been fun. Thanks to all the drivers for putting on one hell of a clean race, and we look forward to another week or another good race next week. And thank you to all the people who watched at home.
All right, and that is going to wrap things up for us here. Just having one more chance of trying to see the paint scheme. I hit the old refresh on the paint schemes to see if we get it. It's still just a white car right now. I'm so bitterly disappointed that I didn't get the paint scheme in the broadcast. But I think we're going to have to cut it there. So until next week, I've been your commentator, the Aussie Sim commentator, on behalf of Brian Pizzakemi. Thank you all for coming out. It's been an excellent race, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week when we head to Kentucky.